Welcome viewers to the dais of YouTube channel, and this is your host Sushil Shalot. You have been watching my long and very informative videos all the time. In this video I have decided to explain you how to make and how to prepare dependent multiple drop down in Excel. Well, there are occasions when we have got multiple drop downs and one drop down is dependent on the other. Well, let's get on to the Excel database and see how we can create it. Here is an example where already I have done it, I have prepared it, and I'll give you a demo here. Like for example, if I choose the continent Africa, and from the African countries, there are two countries which pop up or which appear into the largest populated 20 countries worldwide, and that is Democratic Republic of Congo and Egypt. So if I choose Egypt from the second drop down, I see its capital Cairo, its population here. The population is difficult to read out such a long or big value, so let's read it in millions. So it's 9.84 millions, and this was the consensus. The census was done in 2012, and the percentage of country's population, that is 9.92% of the country's population, resides in Cairo, and the rank of this city is number 7 amongst the 20 top populated cities, or the capitals, not the cities, I should say the capitals over the world. Now, how did I create it? Well, if I go and change it, say for Europe, I see if the country's name turns out to be Egypt, it gives us value error all across. So I need to choose a country here from Europe, and United Kingdom and Russia are the top two countries which appear for the most populated capital amongst the first 20 in the world. So if at all I choose Russia, it turns out to be Moscow, the capital. The population here is 12.5 millions. It was measured, or the census was done in 2011. 8.52% of the country's population reside in Moscow, and the rank here is 5th. This is quite informative and interesting database or information. Well, it's very good to see this way, and this can be used in various purposes or various occasions like a quiz or a game, or if at all some kind of informative website is prepared. This is how it will be working. But our intention of this video is to understand how to create it. So let's get on to how to create it. So here's the database of the first 20 countries whose capitals are mentioned here, and the population has been jotted down, and the year when the census was done, the counting was done, is here, and how much percentage of the country's population resides in the capital. Well, this database has been segregated here under the titles of the continent. The name of the continents appear here. So here is a drop down or the menu from which we'll be creating our drop down. So these are the four continents we see here. South America appears amongst the four continents which are the 20 top ranked in this database. Well, if you see, this name of the continents are transposed over here, and the country which appear in each of the continent have been listed down here. So we have got all the ingredients ready for us to create a drop down and a dependent drop down. So first thing what I will do is, as we have learned in our earlier video, how to create the name ranges. Here I'm going to go and choose the first database. Over here I have switched off the formula bar, so let me switch on the formula bar. There it is. So on the formula bar, when I choose this, I have already created a range here, named range, and it's named as continent. So next thing what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a name range for the next continent or the first continent with the countries in the list. So how to create the name range, I'll expect you to go to the video and learn it. Right now I'll just create it here for us to work upon it. So there it is, the name range Asia has been created here, and the next one is Africa. I'm going to choose this, go over here and create the name range as Africa. Friends, as I have already cautioned you in my video of name range, the name ranges should exactly matching with the text that you expect to be using in your Excel file. So there it is. The next one is Europe. I have created it. The next one is South America. Mind well, if you see here the text South America does not have space in between, it has got underscore in it. So it is very much essential to create a valid name range, not to have any space between the titles of the name range. So here I'm going to go and create the name range. I'll just copy this so that the text mistake or the errors of text will not happen, and I'll go and paste it here as South America and say enter. So the name ranges have been created. So now if I go over here and choose to select this, I see the cell reference as Europe seen here. So it's very clear that the name range has been created for Europe. The same way, if I choose to go for the African name range, there it is. You see the Africa name range there. With this homework done, with this database ready, with these name ranges ready, the next thing is we'll go over here and start using these name ranges. So in this continent title, underneath this continent title, in the cell J18, now I'm going to create the drop down. Creating a drop down is also very well explained in my earlier video. Here we go to the data tab. In data validation, I will go over here and choose the option of list, and in this list I will choose the source from here. There it is, I have chosen, and say OK. Once done, now the drop down is ready for us to use, so I can go over here and choose a continent from this drop down. This is quite simple. Creating the drop down is an easy task and very much explained in my earlier video. So now the next part, creating a dependent drop down, is what is we are going to learn in this video. And here we go for the country drop down. So now in this country drop down, we need, or a user will require to see, suppose the user chooses the continent of say Europe. In this drop down, if he uses or chooses Europe as a drop down, he should see the countries those belong to Europe. That means United Kingdom and Russia. So how do one create it? Let's get on to that. So I'll just remove this for the time being. I won't choose anything. Now the next thing is choosing the country drop down. So how do I do that? Here I will go the same way as we created the drop down earlier. I'll go and choose the list, but while I give the source for this list, I'm going to say indirect. So with this indirect, I will choose the cell in the continent tab and create the parentheses here. So once the parentheses are created, I will say OK, and I should be able to see the source currently evaluates to an error. Do you want to continue? Say yes. Now why it gave that warning was because the cell here in the continent was empty, and so the country drop down will also be empty right now. This is what proves that the country drop down is dependent on the continent choice. So now let me go to the continent choice and choose, say for example, I'm going to choose Africa, and in the African countries, now I should be able to see the drop down here. There it is. I see DR Congo, that is Democratic Republic of Congo, and Egypt. I opt to choose Egypt, and there it is. Now I see the drop down or the dependent drop down, multiple drop down has started working. Now friends, I always have a craze of using my earlier knowledge or whatever knowledge has been learned to apply it into applications. So now with this learning of the drop down, multiple drop-down creation, let me brush up our knowledge about the DGET function. And now let me pull out the capital here of the country which will be chosen from this drop-down. So I'm going to use the function DGET. There it is. And in DGET, what is required is a database. So I'll choose this database. I always prefer to choose a database as a table or a name range, but well, for our illustration here, I will be choosing this database. The next thing what it requires is a field. The capital field in this database the appears into the third third column here. There it is. I have explained you how it is third. So I'm going to choose the number 3 here, give a comma, and now what it asks the next thing is the criteria. So the criteria is the continent name should be Africa and the country name should be Egypt or whatever it is from the drop down. So it should select that. I'll say function F4, I lock it and say close parenthesis. With this, I should get in return the capital name of the country which I choose from here. So if I go here and I choose DR Congo, There it is. Kinshasa appears here as a capital. The same way now I will pull this formula and propagate the population here and percentage of the country's population. Well, while doing that, I should use or I should choose the correct column number. So that is number 4 here. The next one is year, that is number 5 column in the given database. So I'm going to choose as 5. There is a year of the census, and then the next one, the percentage population, is 6th column. There it is. As soon as I choose it or I opt to give the column number 6, it gives me the value as 0.149. Well, here I need to go to the home tab and convert it to percentage, and I will give up to 2 decimals. So there it is. The percentage of the country's population, that is 14.9, is residing into the capital of DR Congo, that is Kinshasa. So if we go over here in this database and choose to find out DR Congo, there it is, I see on the screen, and there it is at the rank number 4. So all the details what we have received as a result in our drop down menu is very correct. Let us go over on and have a look at some other country or some other location. So I go over to Europe, and here I opt to choose, say, Russia. Well, many users are wondering, how is it that Russia is in Europe? Well, it is a huge country. It lies between Asia and Europe, and it is still considered to be a European country. There it is. So when I choose Russia, I see the capital Moscow, then the population. Oh my, this population is too big for me even to read out the numbers. So let me go over here and add a column. I'll say insert, and here I will say in millions. Let me write this value or convert this value into million. So a million is nothing else but 10 raised to 6. So what I'm going to do is, whatever is the value in this cell, I'm going to divide it by 10 raised to 6. That will be 10 raised to 6. There it is. So when I say this, it turns out to be 12.5 million. Well, now it is much easy for me to spell it out. And if at all I wish to find out at which rank does this lie. Well, from this drop down, I can search out that the continent being Europe and Russia, capital Moscow, this is the population, this is the year of census, and this is the percentage of the country's population that stay in this city, and the rank here turns out to be 5. Now, if at all I wish to bring in the rank over here, I will go over here and I'll choose another title, that is rank. And in this, if I need to pull down the rank, what I need to do here is I can use the function DGET again. In this DGET, now I'm going to choose the database, but here I'm going to include the first column of rank. Earlier you must have seen I had not included the rank in the database, but well, one can opt to choose it. Now I need it here as a rank, or the column is important for me, so I have chosen it. Now the column in this database which I need to, or the field which I need to return, is number 1. That is the first column, and the criteria here is the continent name should be Europe, the country name should be Russia. And with this database or this information provided or input, I'm going to close the parenthesis and say enter. As soon as I do, the rank number returns over here. So this is how one can opt to add the information or the result oriented values as and when required. So friends, here in this video we have refreshed with our knowledge of creating name ranges. We have refreshed, or we have learned, not refreshed as such, we have learned how to create a multiple drop down, while we refreshed our knowledge about creating a drop down. The third thing, we brushed up with our knowledge of DGET. We applied it here, and while we did that, we saw that the DGET works from left to right as well as from right to left. Now what happens if I choose to take this rank cell or this rank data from over here and bring it over here? There it is. I just copied it from the right side and pasted it on the left side. Now friends, let me be very clear on this, that DGET works independently of its corresponding criteria cells. So there it is. I have put on the rank over here, and I have got the value correct as it should be. Now if I go over here in Asia, Asia is a continent which is most populated, and if you see, as soon as I chose Asia, and the country name here is Russia, all the cells, corresponding cells have revealed an error of value. So in multiple drop down, unless all the relevant drop downs are chosen, the resultant will not return the values what are expected. So if you see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 countries out of 20 most populated capitals lie within Asia. So if I go over here and choose India, there it is. The capital is New Delhi. The population is 14.2 million in 2011. Well, that was about 10 years ago. The population must have grown like anything in last 10 years. Here is the percentage of the country's population, that is only 1% of the country's population stay in the capital, and the rank in the world is number 2. So friends, this is how one can opt to create a database, and well, one can even choose to hide the backup details, because this may at times will not be required, and only the result will be required. So here it is, the result is on our screen, and if you go over here and opt to choose a continent, so now let me be very clear in this aspect. The first thing is the parent drop down has to be chosen, a choice from the parent drop down. Then based on the parent drop down, the dependent drop down choice has to be selected. So here it is, I go back over here and select Egypt, and after the all required inputs are given, then the resultant will pop up. So there it is, we are very much ready with our database or with our quiz output or our learning output. In this way, you can opt to go over and choose multiple databases and apply your knowledge for this. Now here it is, I have got another Olympics database. I'm opening it for you to learn or understand how it is. Here I have listed down the continents, the countries, and then which country hosted or which city hosted the Olympics and in which year. Now I have, again, this is the data I have extracted. From that, this is the multiple drop down. So if I go here and I choose Asia, and the country here as South Korea. South Korea, I remember, had hosted the Olympics, that is Summer Olympics, in Seoul in year 1988. So let me go and cross check it here. If it gives, yeah, there it is. It gives me the correct value of the country, the city, and the year when it was hosted. Now, if I go here and if I go and choose Australia, Australia has hosted it 2 times since the modern Olympics began in 1896 in Athens, in Greece. And if I choose Australia, what happens? Let me show you. So there it is. I go over here and I choose the country Australia, and I get a error of value. The reason being that Australia has hosted the Olympics twice, and that is why it will not be shown by using the command DGET. Well, this is what one needs to understand when a function is chosen from Excel, its merits and its demerits. So for such situations, instead of using dget over here, one has to choose index and match or XLOOKUP or some other commands which will reveal us the required values. So if I go again over here and choose the country as, say, South America, I remember Brazil was the country. Yes, there it is. Brazil was the country, and Rio de Janeiro in 2016 had hosted it. Now, if I go over here and I choose Europe and France, France has hosted it 2 times till now, and last time it had hosted was in 1924, and it is the country who will be hosting the Olympics in 2024. So there it is. If I go to the database and I choose France as the country from this database, there it is. Paris will be hosting it in 2024, and let us wait eagerly for this Olympics and participate, if not as a player, at least as a viewer. Friends, well, I think I have explained you how to create the multiple drop down in Excel very well. You must have understood it, the basics, the concepts, the method, and the results. I wish that you practice onto this and apply it in your day-to-day activities and applications. If you like this video, do express your likes at the YouTube channel. Certainly your comments are welcome. And if at all you are new to my channel and if you are not subscribed yet till now, please do subscribe the channel for a lot many videos which are waiting for you. I'll be eagerly looking forward to be with you again with my next video. Till then, have a nice time. Bye bye.